All right, welcome back to another episode of No BS Just News with Steve. As always, I'm your host. Thanks for tuning in. Definitely appreciate it. So let's catch up on some stimulus real quick, and then we'll move to some other news. Obviously, the second stimulus checks have gone out for $600. Most of you have received them. A lot of you are now getting them in the mail if they went to closed accounts. If you do not receive them, I would say by the beginning of March, maybe into February, I'd claim the recovery rebate credit on your tax return if you do not receive it and you are an eligible recipient to receive the stimulus check. For the third stimulus check, obviously you know that the Senate Republicans, if you're paying attention, have proposed a $18 billion bill that is going to not happen. I think it was just a formality. They wanted $1,000 instead of $1,400 stimulus checks. They wanted the cap to be $40,000 for individuals, $80,000 for married filing jointly. Biden listened to that. Obviously, he's not going to move forward with that. Chuck Schumer said we will move forward no matter what. They are going to probably use their reconciliation vote. President Biden is scheduled to speak to Joe Manchin today. He was one of the Democratic senators that was against his $1.9 trillion bill. He didn't agree with some of the state and local aid and some other things within the bill. But I know that I'm pretty sure he's on board now. He did say yesterday that he'd like to see bipartisan. But when I say bipartisan, he'd like to see a bipartisan vote. However, he would vote with the reconciliation. So he's no longer against it, and I'm sure Biden will convince him that much more today. So hopefully we will see those checks go out soon. You will see the aid to state and local government. You will see that unemployment will raise from $300 to $400 weekly. So stay tuned for that. Some of you, especially in Arizona and maybe across the country, are now receiving a 1099 showing that you claimed unemployment when you did not. It is fraud. So if you get a 1099, you need to contact the DES or whatever it's called in your state. Here it's the Department of Economic Security. There is tons of unemployment fraud here in the state of Arizona, and I'm sure there is in every other state. These people are filing claims under your name like crazy. So if you get a 1099 showing that you claimed unemployment, asking you to file taxes on it, reach out to the DES, reach out to the IRS and let them know that is not your information. What do I need to do? I'll follow up and see if I can find out more information on that. In other news, this is pretty unfortunate. 2 FBI agents from Crimes Against Children Unit killed and 3 other agents wounded in South Florida shootout yesterday afternoon. It's pretty sad. The FBI's last time they had agents die was in 2008. This isn't very often that you see FBI agents killed. It's super sad. This particular crime unit executes warrants and search warrants on a daily basis against crimes against children, and specifically sex crimes. They do a lot of research before they execute the search warrant. And if you're in law enforcement, you know that it is a daily grind. You put your life on the line every single day, whether you're in the streets or behind the walls of a prison, and you never know what can happen. So that can cause a lot of stress, and my heart goes out to the families of these FBI agents and any law enforcement officers in the line of duty that have been killed or their lives have been taken, period. It is one hell of a stressful job. If you've never done it, you don't know until you get into it. You just never know you never know. Those 2 FBI agents left their home yesterday to do what they love to do, to execute that search warrant, and unfortunately, they were shot and killed. The man inside opened up with a witness said he heard at least 20 to 25 gunshots from what he thought was a rifle continuously. So who knows how many times they got hit. And as I said, 3 other agents were injured as well. It says 2 FBI agents were federally shot and 3 agents were wounded in a shootout as they executed a search warrant in Sunrise, Florida on Tuesday morning. Sorry, I think I said Tuesday afternoon. The FBI said, the subject of the warrant is dead. He took his own life is what they're saying. Good. Another scumbag off the streets. The shooting occurred at about 6 a.m. as a team of law enforcement officers executed a federal court-ordered search warrant as part of a violent crimes against children case, according to a statement from FBI Miami Special Agent Michael D. Levrock and spokesman Jim Marshall. At an afternoon media briefing, Special Agent in charge George Pirro said the suspect opened fire. 2 agents with multiple gunshot wounds were taken to the hospital and are in stable condition, officials said. The 3rd agent was treated at the scene and released. 2 other agents dead on the scene. It's unfortunate. FBI Director Chris Wray identified the deceased agents as Special Agent Daniel Alphen and Special Agent Laura Schwarzenberger. Every day, FBI special agents put themselves in harm's way to keep the American people safe. Special Agent Alphen and Special Agent Schwarzenberger exemplified heroism today in defense of their country, he said in a statement. The FBI will always honor their ultimate sacrifice and will be forever grateful for their bravery. Hoorah. Amen. It's brutal, man. It's brutal. The shooting took place at the Water Terrace apartment complex, an upscale gated community outside Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at 6:04 a.m., according to the Sunrise Police spokesman. The person who officers were looking for had barricaded himself in, and the shootout is one of the deadliest in FBI history, brought a major law enforcement response to the area. They brought in the SWAT team, and that SWAT team just damn near about drove their truck through the freaking apartment complex. I mean, they just rammed right into it. They were trying to execute now getting these special agents out and stopping the threat. They didn't know if the threat was still alive or what. The shots had stopped. Obviously, he took his own life is what they're saying. I don't think any of the agents got any rounds off. However, I don't know. It has yet to be released. Video from CNN affiliate WSVN shows an ambulance driving from the scene to Broward Medical Examiner's office at about 10:30 a.m., escorted by a group of law enforcement officers on motorcycles. Once there, a body on a gurney draped in an American flag was wheeled into the building as a line of officers saluted. I tell you what, that's normal protocol for law enforcement. Whether you're in the police, the FBI, the county, the city, the FBI, the DEA, the Department of Corrections, it doesn't matter. They are going to do a full police escort to and from, to the hospital, from the hospital usually to the medical examiner's office. And almost always there's an American flag draped over the cat. It's usually a body bag under there, unfortunately. Unless they're coming from the funeral home to the procession of the funeral. I've attended 3 full military/police burials in my career in law enforcement. And it's the saddest thing you can possibly attend other than your family's funeral and friends of yours, but a law enforcement burial or military burial it's sad. I lost the last one I was at he was a great friend of mine. He was one of our best canine officers in the state of Arizona. And unfortunately, his life was taken by his next door neighbor. And it was one of the saddest funerals I had ever been to. We were all in uniform. There was tons and tons of law enforcement staff there, family. There must have been over 1,000 people there. There was a lot of people there to pay their respects to this man. He had a career of over 20 years within the Department of Corrections, retired back in as a background investigator. An awesome dude. He was a mentor of mine. And I'm not going to put his name out there, but those of you that know him and you watch me and he was a good friend of yours too. I tell you what, when I heard that news, I honestly just started to tear up and I cried because I was in shock. It was absolutely horrifying. And that happened yesterday. Just think of the families. So I know there's a lot of you out there that don't care for law enforcement, and that's okay. That's your own thing. But remember, they're the ones that you call on when you need help. And you never know where they just had come from. You never know. There was just an incident in Phoenix where a black man took his baby from his Hispanic girlfriend, started running across the street on 7th Avenue in Van Buren with a weapon, firing at cars. He was completely loaded under a substance. Baby in one arm, Glock, I think it was a Glock 19 in the other, firing. Several 911 calls coming in saying man with a gun, baby in hand, he's firing erratically. Phoenix PD rides around a lot of times with sharpshooters in the vehicle for that specific situation. Luckily that day, they had PD was able to respond within a minute. The subject was in the middle of the street firing his weapon. The sharpshooter jumped out of the vehicle. He was the passenger, riding the passenger. He had his rifle already obviously loaded. The door opened. He put it on the door, took a deep breath. You could see it. He dialed it in just a bit. Boom, one shot, one kill. He stopped that threat immediately. Hero. That was January the 13th, I believe. Go look that up on, you can just look it up on YouTube. They've released the video footage. You can't see his body cam, obviously is blocked by the door. He's been on with Phoenix PD for, I think they said 4 years. I tell you what, he was so calm and cool. It was simple for him. Jumped out of that vehicle, mounted the rifle, a quick dial with the scope, bing, one shot, over. They were able to get the baby safely, didn't harm the kid. The man had been arrested several times prior. And then the girlfriend, who knows? I mean, they were fighting in a known hotel, drug-infested hotel parking lot. It was just a mess. So, like I said, I know that a lot of you don't care for law enforcement, and like I said, that's fine. But they go through tons and tons of stress day in and day out. They deal with the most incredible situations you can ever imagine. They may be coming from a baby that was just killed, multiple kids that were just killed by their own mom. That just happened where she shot all four of her young children. They may be coming from a horrible accident where it took several lives. You never know where they're coming from. When they stop you, you may be speeding or whatever you're doing, or whatever interaction you're having with law enforcement. Just remember, they may be having a bad day because they just came from a horrific scene, and obviously they're not supposed to carry that on to the next call, but they're human beings. So fucking remember that. And I'm not trying to put any disrespect out there for those of you that don't care for law enforcement. All I'm saying is have a little respect. I mean, you call them for help, then so show some support. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a lot of them that are egotistical maniacs, but it's a brother and sisterhood. just like the military. You form a bond and you meet people that will be lifelong friends that have your back no matter what. When I was in situations where I needed assistance, man, they were there in a second, just as was I. So anyway, unfortunate scenario with the FBI yesterday. Hopefully more information to come on that. One of the officers that was killed had been with the FBI since 2009, and he had came to the Miami office in 2017. The other officer, Schwarzenberger, she had been an agent since 2005 and moved to the Miami Bureau 11 years ago. She is survived by her husband and 2 children. Sad, sad. Anyway, y'all, I'm out. Take care.